Hey Team PPCC. Whether you're already back on campus, preparing to return to in-person, or still rocking that remote work, it's totally understandable to be feeling higher levels of stress and pressure during this unique fall startup. Transitioning to a new way of work is the equivalent of learning a new skill. When you're learning a new language, you can't expect yourself to be speaking in sentences and phrases right away. This new way of work, this is our new language. And we can't expect ourselves to be fluent right out of the gate. Sometimes we just need to go back to the basics. I'm going to give you 3 tips today on how you can go back to the basics to not only support your efforts in maintaining your health and well-being, but also to replenish that personal bandwidth of yours so you don't completely burn out. I'm here to say there is no shame in the basics game. So tip number 1, refocus on basic communication etiquette. I know that seems super simple, but I don't know about you, between remote work, spending most of my time with a 3-year-old, and limited face-to-face interaction with others, my basic communication efforts have slipped a little, which is understandable. But the next time you're in a meeting, replying to an email, meeting with someone on Teams or Zoom, refocus on those basic elements of good communication. So make sure you have a beginning, middle, end method. Basic greeting in the beginning, asking someone how they are, just being able to say, "Hey Tony, how's it going today?" That's actually really friendly and it gets somebody back in the mood to reply. Using pleases and thank yous. Basic manners can actually go a long way. Clearly state your reason for emailing and then quick sum up at the end, making it clear what you're asking. Sometimes people don't understand why you're emailing and that you want a response back. Actively listen. I know that you think that we can't see checking emails, that nobody sees me on the phone over here texting somebody, but we do. We see this scrolling, we see looking at other browsers. So one thing you can do to really reconnect that communication is don't check your emails. Don't be looking at your phone. Look at the screen, or even sometimes just look at the camera. I know it's so easy to look at the screen because those are the people you're talking to, but looking at the camera is actually going to connect you more with their eyesight to make it feel like you're looking them in the eyes. So don't have the TV on, close your browsers, and focus and actively listen to what's being said. Same with actively listen, actively read. Sometimes there might just be a miscommunication because you missed reading a line in an email. Remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Trust me, I am the queen of sarcasm, and sarcasm is either impossible to recognize via email or everything that you can say seems like sarcasm. So be very clear and try to avoid sarcasm. 1, a single email or calendar invite that says we need to meet seems like you're being clear, but when we've got so much going on in the world, health scares, when there's budget cuts and you say we need to meet, that could really scare someone. So I say we need to meet about this project. Something really simple that can really change the attitude around a meeting. Silence. If someone or you are showing up to a meeting and never chiming in and always being silent, that's going to grow some concerns. So just making sure you're chiming in once in a while. Careful with caps and exclamations. I love to use exclamations, usually because I'm just super excited, but a lot of times it can seem demanding or angry. Caps is yelling, so just be careful there. Using empathy, smiling, even if it's behind a mask. You hear it in the voice, you see it in the eyes, so just smile. And check in once in a while, not work related. Hey, you said last week you were feeling so-and-so. How you doing today? So basic communication, tip 1. Tip number 2, reset basic boundaries. We're in new territory, which means we have to set new boundaries. Doing more work from remote, from home, combines what used to be our personal refuge with all that professional stress. So when that day is done, check out, turn off your computer, put it in the closet. Just get it away. When you see it and you're playing on your phone, you start to feel guilt that like, oh, well, if I can play on my phone, I have time to just get this work done. So try to check out for nights and weekends if possible. Take your breaks, your lunch, change up work locations, take walks. It's so much more important now to get fresh air and vitamin D. This one's really big. This one's really hard. Allow yourself to say no. Sorry, I've got too much on my plate right now. I need help. Open yourself and others up to those conversations before you hit burnout level. And this one is super common right now, all across the world. Don't force yourself or your team into new and unnecessary projects. What's happening is when you've got half the team working on campus, maybe some of them working remotely, you feel this pressure to prove that you and your team are working. Or maybe those on campus feel the pressure to perform even more in this new work environment. So like I said, we're learning a new skill. To learn a new skill, you don't add 5 other brand new skills on top of it at the same time, then you don't learn anything, right? So in this new environment, it's going to take even longer for you and your staff to get back to just that normal level of performance that you're used to before even taking on more. So choose to focus on the basics of good customer service, the basics of good document management, the basics of educating, advising, coaching, whatever that may be. One of the phrases I heard from the Global Wellness Institute session this past week was learn to do it the same way, but with less energy. Go from effort to ease. So at this point, it's common for even the basics to take more effort than necessary. So for now, go back to the basics until you're able to perform the same, but with less energy before exerting that energy elsewhere. All right, last tip. Find time for intentional pause. You're going to ask yourself that basic question, how am I really feeling? Sometimes we don't even know our bandwidth is full and overflowing until we take a second to breathe, right? Maybe we even actively avoid taking an intentional pause because we're kind of afraid to see how much it is overflowing. It's why it's so important for you to switch from doing to just being. You can set a timer to remind you once a day. Could even be for a single minute. Just take some deep breaths. Like in my last video, spend 5 minutes each morning reviewing the hand you were dealt and choose how you will play or fold your hand that day. Do what I call a tank check. Spend the first 5 minutes or last 5 minutes of your week, you could even do this daily, assess how full your personal bandwidth tank is. If you're a visual person, literally draw a tank or a vase, whatever vessel you choose. Color it into what I call the feel line, about how you're feeling. Sometimes it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'm overwhelmed, but I'm totally okay. But when you see that visual of like, it's at the brim, that can inspire you to do a little self-care maintenance, to kind of reduce the level in your tank before it overflows. So I just want to say thank you for spending a few minutes with me to go back to the basics of communication, boundaries, and rest. If you're looking for any specific information in regards to more communication tips, breathing practices, other resources to help you through these challenging times, please check out the attached document with links to all of this and more. You are all doing an amazing job throughout all of this transition, seriously. So please let me know if there's anything else we can do to help support your well-being.